A classic Negroni is equal parts gin, Campari and sweet vermouth, and if you substitute out the gin and bring in bourbon, you're left with a drink called a boulevardier, which is a delicious drink, and a lot of people will increase the spirit in this to get a little bit more of that booze coming through. Today we're going to build on this boulevardier base, bringing in flavours of coffee and charred peach to make a drink called a Charred Peach Boulevardier. Let's do this. All right, welcome back everybody. So for our Charred Peach Boulevardier, we're going to need bourbon. I'm using Buffalo Trace. We're going to need Campari. We're going to need some sweet vermouth. I'm using Cocky Storico. And we're going to be using some of the ingredients which I've shown you how to make in previous weeks, including coffee saccharum liqueur and charred peach liqueur, bringing an all-round complex and really delicious drink. If you don't have these ingredients, I'll show you some substitutions you can make and how you can adapt the recipe, so don't worry if you don't have everything. And then we're going to need some freshly squeezed lime juice just to balance everything out. As you probably already know, most Negroni riffs are stirred drinks because they're essentially all booze, but because we're actually adding some citrus here, we're actually going to shake this, which gives it a nice change. It's kind of aerated and nice and lively and vibrant, whereas a Negroni is usually smooth and elegant and really refined. So slightly different texture, and we're actually going to serve this drink straight up as well. So if you don't have a coupe glass or a Nick and Nora glass in the freezer already, I'd recommend getting one in there now. So the first ingredient we're going to add is our spirit base, and although a Negroni is equal parts, I actually quite like to increase our ratio of our spirit in this drink just to get it really coming through, particularly when you've got big ingredients like Campari, vermouth, and also our coffee saccharum liqueur and our charred peach liqueur. These all have really big flavors which we don't want to overpower our bourbon. So 45 mils of bourbon, but you can use pretty much any spirit base to make a really delicious Negroni riff. And one of my favorites I've done recently is called a right hand, which uses Caribbean rum, which I'll link above. But next up, we're going to add our Campari. So I'm going to go with 30 mils here, and this brings that really nice bittersweet complexity. But if you don't love bitter drinks, give this one a try, because it's not super bitter. But if it's still too bitter for you, you can always use Aperol, which is a little bit more orangey and a little bit less bitter than Campari. Vermouth, which comes from the fridge, which should always be stored in the fridge. I'm going with 30 mils of our Cocky Storico. And this is very complex, has some kind of herbal notes in there, that traditional wininess that you'd expect, and adds, again, more complexity to our drink. And if you just stirred this down, served it over ice, you'd have a delicious boulevardier. But we're going to bring some kind of other flavors, really different ingredients to this to make something brand new and delicious. So first of all, I'm going to go 15 mils of coffee saccharum liqueur. And this is essentially a zero waste coffee liqueur made with espresso pucks or filter coffee grounds. And if you don't know how to make this, I'll link it at the end of the video. But you could also use your favorite coffee liqueur. Just make sure you allow the kind of ratio of liqueurs to lime to bring you a balanced drink at the end of it. So you might need to experiment slightly because all coffee liqueurs have different levels of sugar, but more lime or less liqueur will bring balance to the drink. So I'll leave that in your hands. We're going to complement this with 15 mils of our charred peach liqueur, or again, your favorite peach liqueur that you love. And this has really nice kind of toasty, rich, smoky peach notes. Super delicious. Kind of smells like a barbecue as well, because they're cooked on a barbecue. And again, I'll link this at the end of the video, how you can make it. And then finally, to balance our two liqueurs that we've added, a non-traditional ingredient for a Negroni riff, which is freshly squeezed lime juice. I'm going 15 mils of lime juice to balance our homemade ingredients, but as I said, your mileage may vary, and you might need to add more of this or less of your liqueurs if you're using commercial liqueurs. I'm going to give this a good hard shake over lots of ice. You want to shake it for around about 20 seconds to get plenty of dilution because we're going to serve this straight up. We're going to fine strain this into a frozen glass. And then for the garnish, I've actually blow-torched a piece of peach, which is actually nectarine, but we're all friends there, I couldn't get hold of any peaches, so charred nectarine, but charred peach would be perfect. Leave that on there. And there we have our Charred Peach Boulevardier. So let's try our Charred Peach Boulevardier. As I always say, cheers everybody. That is a very complex drink. Everything comes together really nicely. I get loads of peach up front, and I think actually the secret weapon here is the bourbon, because it's got that really nice kind of butterscotch toffee note, which stands up to the coffee, brings the caramelized peach forward, and it's really, really well balanced. I think shaking the drink's really nice because it's got loads of kind of sweet and sour and vibrancy and zinginess, which is really nice and kind of complements that. And it's, at heart, a boulevardier with riffs, which add so much value there. So if you want to learn about these homemade ingredients, I'll put a playlist just here which is all about coffee saccharum liqueur, including how to make it and some recipes you can use with it. And then just here, I'll put a charred peach liqueur playlist, again, how to make it and some examples of how you can use it. So hopefully you enjoy this. Happy Negroni week if you're watching when this goes live. You can subscribe to the channel for more like this, and I will see you soon. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Enjoy your Negronis.